What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Joe and this is Heart and Hustle Printing. So welcome back. In this video we're going to be doing 225 beanies. We're going to be doing this style right here. We're only doing 50 of them, and then we're going to be doing about 175 of these. So when it comes to embroidering these two beanies, it's a whole different setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the process on how I do it when it comes to doing these beanies here and these beanies here. If you are doing something with a lot of fibers, that's whenever you want to use a tack down stitch. What the tack down stitch is going to do is anything that has the fibers where you're going to stitch, what it's going to do is it's going to flatten out that part so that when you go to embroider your logo on top of that, it's going to look nice and clean. So the customer asked me to remove the background. Like I said, it's not a good idea. It's going to be really loose and it's not going to look good. So here we are with the final stitch outs, just to give the customer an idea of what they're going to look like. So again, if you are new to embroidery or you're just stopping by this video because embroidery is something you're looking to get into, I'm pretty sure you could tell which one has the knockdown stitch and which one doesn't have a knockdown stitch. When it comes to doing this, if you look at the one right here, you're going to see this one doesn't have the knockdown stitch, and as you can see, the image is wavy, it's puckering, it just doesn't look good. And if you look at this right here, you can see the red coming through the letters. I did use a water soluble on both of them to try to get the same result. The customer wanted to go cheaper and have less stitches, and as you can see, if you don't do it right, you're going to get a bad image. And then if we look at this one over here, this one has the knockdown stitch. Rule of thumb is whenever you do a knockdown stitch, you do the knockdown stitch color the same of the garment that you're doing. So if I was doing a black beanie, I would put a black background so that it blends in and you don't see it. That is the rule of thumb if you're doing it. But if the customer has a request where they're like, hey, let's do the background black and the stitch out white, then it's really what the customer wants. But rule of thumb is whatever color your garment is the same color you're going to do the knockdown stitch. So I sent this to the customer. I showed them what they would get without it and the quality they would get with it. This one right here, because they took it out, like I told you guys, has about 2,000 something stitches. This one right here has 4,000 stitches, so double the stitch count of that one, but the quality of that stitch is a whole lot better. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get these ready so we can start embroidering them. This is just a stitch out, an extra beanie they sent me to do a test on it. All right, so the last thing I want to talk to you about before we get started is whenever it comes to doing your stitch out, we all like to use backing, right? But if you use the backing on something like this, you're not going to get the same result. I told the customer, because I knew what they wanted, I had to have an extra beanie to test out so I could show them what it's really going to look like. Without that and doing it on backing, it's going to look good because there's no fibers that are going to be poking through. So make sure whatever you're going to embroider, even when it comes to a t-shirt, like we have polo shirts that we've messed up in the past. So when a customer is like, yeah, I want to get this stitched on a polo shirt, we have polo shirts that we've messed up because everybody does it. And what we do with those is we go ahead and we throw them in the machine and we stitch the actual image, test image, to that type of fabric so that we can show the customer what it's really going to look like. So save those shirts that you mess up because you never know when you're going to need them again, right? Alright, so one last thing, if you are here for the first time, make sure you click that subscribe button, click that bell so you're notified whenever I put out more videos like this, right? I'm here to help you guys. If you guys are looking to get into embroidery, make sure you guys go down below. There's a link to RICOMA. By you clicking that link, it's going to take you to their website, fill it out. It's going to get in touch with one of their reps. They'll get in touch with you, and by you doing that, it could save you up to $250 on one of these embroidery machines. So as you guys know, I have the 6-head from RICOMA, and I also have the MT1501 from RICOMA. But if you are just starting out and this is not something that you want to get into, something this big, well, they also sell some other types of embroidery machines, a 10 needle, the MT1010. I'm not even sure. I just know what I have. But they do have a lot of other embroidery machines that you could look into getting. So if you're interested, take your shop or your home business to its next level, because we all start somewhere. Go down below, click that link, and save you some money. So here we are with the hoop station. We're using the Freestyle to do this. We're using the Mighty hoops. It's so much easier when it comes to doing that. And then we're using the wash away, water soluble, and then we're using a cutaway. I'm not using a tearaway. All right, so when it comes to beanies, I have a mark right here and right here. So whenever I put my beanie on there, my backing is already in here. So I slide this on, and I'm going to stop when it gets to that spot. I'm going to cut some of my water soluble. I don't need much of it just because this image is pretty small. I just want to go right there. And then I'm going to take my mighty hoop, put it into place, and hoop it that easy. So whenever it comes to the 6 head, the reason I have those marks there is because when it comes to a 6 head and you are trying to adjust the beanie, if one of them's off, you can't adjust one at a time. You have to adjust all 6 at the same time. So it's best if you go ahead and do something like that, like a mark like that, so you know your placement is going to be the same on every single one, just to make life easier. Because if you don't do that and you go to embroider, one might be higher than the other, and then you're going to have issues. If the customer don't like it, you know how they can complain. They can complain about it, and then you might have to replace a lot of things, right? So let's go ahead. So I'm not going to take you through the process of keeping every single one of these. There's 50 of them. I think after the first 6 or 7, maybe after the first 2, you're already over it, right? So we're going to hoop these, and then I'm going to show you how I load them to the machine. We'll be right back. Last one for the first set of 12. We got to do 8 sets of this. So we're going to do 8 runs of this. 8 runs, and then after we do those 8, we have 2. So we're going to go ahead, put this on here, nice and straight, mighty hoop it, good to go. All right, let's get this out of the way. So here's our beanies, all ready to go. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the hoop, the mighty hoop, onto the frame. So if you look here, there's a nub right there, and there's a nub right there. You're simply going to take this, and these 2 little clamps right here that are going to hold it nice and tight, you're going to put it in an angle. Once you get it in, you're going to lift up so that it doesn't fall into these holes right here. Those first holes is what you don't want it to fall into. So you're going to lift it up and push it into the spot. So you'll see over here, there's a little hole that it has to fall into, and the groove over here. Alright, so here we are with the display for the 6 head. This thing's massive. I think it's like 10 inches big. This one right here, as you can see, the red has the tack down stitch, and then we're going to do this in black. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set our colors. We're going to come here. We can set up to 40 of them. 40 different changes. Not 40 different colors, because we're only running 15 colors, but we could do up to 40 changes. So I don't set my colors in the back here because I'm always changing them. But if you want to come in here and program your colors, by all means, go ahead and do what you do. Right? So we're going to come in here. We're using number 12. We're simply going to come to number 1, hit 12, and it's going to switch to number 12. Letting the machine know the first thing it's going to embroider is number 12. The second thing, according to the PO that they sent us, they want the image in black. So my black is on number 2. We're going to hit number 2, and then if we simply hit escape right here, it's not going to save this. So you have to come down here and hit OK. If I just hit escape, I go back to my colors, you're going to see they're reset. So make sure 12 and 2, and then we hit OK, and then we can escape. So we go back in here, you're going to see they're good to go. Now we got our colors picked. Next thing we want to do is we want to flip this image, because if we don't flip this image, it's going to embroider upside down. So to do that, you come to settings. Up here where you see this F, you go ahead and hit that, and then you're going to hit the third one down. It's not going to do anything until you confirm it, but once I hit OK, you're going to see that it flips upside down. Once you hit OK, you can go ahead and hit escape. Now we're going to lock our image back again, save our starting point. So next thing we're going to do, before we even do any embroidery on this right here, is we're going to do a trace. That's the most important part whenever you're doing embroidery. This image is small, it's not big. This is my hoop right here, but it's always good to do a trace because you want to make sure your image is where you want it to be. If you think it is and you're just like, all right, let's run it, and it's not, then you're going to have issues. So all of our beanies look good. If we look down the line over here, They look good. And this is what I was talking about whenever it comes to adjusting these beanies. That with the 6-head machine, you can't adjust. You can't just adjust this one. You have to adjust all 6 at the same time. So you're going to see that right now whenever I hit trace. And it's good to always have someone to look at the ones way down there, because the trace button is only on the screen. I can't go down there and trace. So it makes it tough. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to do our trace first. We're going to go ahead and hit start. And we're going to hit OK. We're going to let it do a trace. I visually saw that it's not going to hit the hoop, right? So now I can go ahead and hold down my presser foot. The reason I do that before is because I've learned in the past, whenever you go to trace it and you're not set right, what could happen is whenever you do that, you could hit your hoop, and then you're going to bend a presser foot, and then you're going to be in a world of, you're not going to like it. Let's just say that. I've done it before, that's why I say, especially with this one right here, because right now it's set on needle number 1. So what I've learned in the past, and I'll show you, with the multi-head machine, you can trace off of any needle. And when I first got the machine, I didn't know that, right? So right now it's set for needle number 5, which is right here. So if I do my trace, it's going to trace off of needle number 5. Like the MT1501, when I would come in here and do my trace, this would automatically move to needle number 1 and do a trace. So what happened to me in the beginning on presser foot number 1 is I hit my trace button, I hit OK, and it did a trace. So if you look at presser foot number 1 right here real close, you're gonna see if I was holding down needle number 1 that I would bend that presser foot because it's hitting the hoop. So what I do now is I come up here and I change it to needle number 1 so I don't have that issue. I want to show you this right here. With beanies, what I like to do is this piece is barely going underneath where the bobbin case is at. So there's a good chance that it could get caught up here on top. So what I do is I grab the bottom of it and I tuck this in, and then I just hang it here on the edge so that it's just like this. And by it being like that, you don't have to worry about it getting caught underneath and embroidering the back of the beanie to the front of the beanie. These are the last 2 that we have left. If you look, the green light is on this one and on this one. The rest of them I turned them off, and then I have these magnetic strips right here. What I do is I put it over the ones that I'm not using so the thread doesn't come out from the needle. So we are good to go. Make sure all the rest of them are off, and we are good to go. So these are done. They came out good. That's what it looks like. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to switch over to this style of a beanie. So when it comes to doing something like this, you have to flip the beanie inside out whenever you do it. So you're going to flip it inside out, get it nice and straight, and you're going to actually embroider on the inside of it so that it's inside out. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like whenever you do it like this. So the difference between this one and the other one is you have to come in here, cancel your DTS file, come into settings, flip your image back over so that it's the right way, save it, and you're going to embroider it, it's going to actually look upside down. But being that you're embroidering it on the inside, whenever you flip it, it's going to be the right way. So let's go ahead, set this up, and stitch them. Alright, same concept as the last time. We're not using these black lines. If you look down here, there's some gray lines. We're going to be using that. And we're using the backing. We're using the whole piece this time. Just because these beanies are a lot bigger, not as small as those other ones. So I'm going to bring this down to my gray line. Once I got it there, take the mighty hoop and hoop it just like that. So this one's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and set up the next 11 of them so that we can start doing this. We're going to do the black underlay and then white stitch on top. We are good to go. Our beanies are on there. Next thing we're going to do is a trace. So like the last time, we're going to go ahead and move our needle to number 1. Once we got it there, we're going to go ahead, hit escape. Then we're going to do our trace. We're going to visualize it, make sure it's not going to hit the pressure foot. And once we did that, we can go ahead and do it one more time. We are good to go. So whenever I hoop these, I forgot to put the water soluble on top, so I'm gonna tape it to the top just so that we can continue with this. I don't have to unhoop them to rehoop them. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna start this. We have our water soluble on there now. We got our colors picked. We did our trace. Everything's good. We got our next 6 lined up. So whenever we're ready, we're gonna go ahead and lock the machine and let's start. Also, remember we didn't have the heads on, so now we got to turn them back on. And we can start. So that's it. I just want to take you guys through the process on how I do beanies. Whenever you're doing skull caps, remember you have to flip the image or else it's going to be upside down. When you're doing standard or you're doing the beanies with the flip in the front, remember, turn it inside out, and then you have to leave your image as is if you were doing anything flat. So then whenever you pull the beanie the other way and you flip it up, it's going to be the right way, right? Everybody has their own ways of doing things. Again, this is just my way of doing it, so hopefully you got something out of it. So thank you guys for watching another one of my videos. Thank you guys for all the support, and until next time, keep pressing.